Namaste Monidipa Dey.
Namaste, Gaurav.
Welcome to this session of Kahi Suni, presented by Sutradhar. And today, as we have promised our viewers, we will talk about temples and the stories these temples tell. And as most of our viewers would probably know, you have recently come up with a book, the Himachala Temples and the Bengal
The Bengal
Connection.
connection. Yes.
We will talk about that. Before we get ahead and we start the conversation on the book and the temples, let's first talk about you. And I am sure our viewers would be interested in knowing more about who Monidipa is and how she got into this temple and the stories about the temple's Indian heritage. What inspired you into getting into writing these stories and telling it to the world?
Um, uh, from around 2012, 2013, when I seriously started looking into the reading into history books. Earlier, my actual subject is life science. I'm a master's in life science, and my special paper, I have a research paper on it. It's on paleobotany. It's on fossils. So it's a completely different line I'm from. And but history was always my I always liked history, and around 2013-14, that's when I started taking serious notice of history and heritage as to go out for the Delhi walks. And then I started reading books. And when I started reading books, I felt the distortion, the discrepancies, I started noticing it because once you read the older books, R.C. Majumdar books, and then when you start comparing them with the Thapar Habib books, then you find that something is wrong. You start
Yeah.
realizing something is wrong. And some of the contemporary books were also started coming out at that time, 2014-15. Sanjeev Senal few books started coming out. So I read
Yes.
those books and I was comparing all the three, the contemporary new books which were coming out, R.C. Mazumdar books and the Thapar Habib types. And then I realized that our school history textbooks are extremely distorted. If you look at the school books, say 6, 7, 8, 9, those zones, the main time period when the students remember history. So that zone, if you find, you will find the most focus is on Mughal history, and it's all about glorifying Mughal history. And you know the gist what happens in Indian history. So at that time, I decided that plus, if you go to this historical places, you will find that most of the people don't know the history. They are not aware of the sculptures, the meaning behind the sculptures. These I've noticed during my various trips. 2014, I had covered the entire Gwalior part, and over there, I found most of the people don't know the meaning behind the sculptures. I was also one of them. I was not really aware of all those meaning behind the sculptures. Then the temple architecture, we go to temple, we pray, but Hindu temple has a different meaning. So I slowly started taking interest mainly with the focus that I should make people aware also. As I learn, I should also make people aware because people are not aware. And once you are not aware, it's very easy to cut you off from your roots. That was course the I will be very frank about it over here. That is what the left academicians have been doing, cutting you off from from your roots. And once you get cut off, then you are cut off. Then you slowly we will lose our religion, we will lose our culture, we will lose our heritage, everything. So that is my main focus is on making people aware of their own Hindu heritage. Be proud of it. You belong to a culture, a religion which has started with the start of human civilization. Our this Shakti Puja, the Shaiva Puja, I wrote on that a few days back, has started right from prehistoric times. These are prehistoric times. It's there in Harappa civilization. So this is something which we need to be proud of it. If somebody insults a religion, I want my reason for spreading awareness is that I want people to stand up and say, no, I am proud of my religion. I know the meaning of my religion. I know how my religion started. And I can stand up and say that I am proud of my religion. You will not insult my religion. I have no problems with other religions. They will be there. But you will not insult my religion. That is my basic criteria. I am also a human being. I also follow my religion, and I'm proud of it. Like you are proud of your religion, I'm also proud of it. So I want Hindus to become like this. That take pride in your religion, take pride in yourself, know the meaning of your religion, know how it's, read books, read how your religion, if you're a Vaishnav, you believe in Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, then you start reading the how it started, why it started, understand the philosophical meaning behind it. If you're a Shaiva, you start reading what how it started. Shakti, you start reading. And once you know the meaning behind it, there is nobody who can, once you're rooted strongly enough, you know about your religion, nobody can break it from you, which was happening for the last 3 decades. They're hacking at the roots to break it up. That will not happen if you, but you need to be aware of it. That is the main focus of my heritage thing, that I'm writing books, I'm writing on social media, writing blogs, various articles. The only criteria is people should know about my religion, about your religion. That is Hinduism. My religion is Hinduism.
Yes.
People should know. That is my focus.
So our whole purpose of starting Sutradhar was also very similar, because we wanted to highlight how proud we should be of the heritage that we have, and were told some stories, some, I mean, some, what you can say, fake history or fake stories, fake narratives, to make us feel inferior about our existence. And we lived that existence for, lived that existence for like 30, 35 years. And when my daughter was born, I felt that she should not be living in the same world that I grew up in, and she should not feel bad, or she should not feel apologetic about her origins,
Yes.
that she, where she has come from, because there is nothing to feel apologetic about. And when I read through it, I kept feeling that we are much better than what we were told about us. And I think temples are living monument of our past, right? And that is basically what we can study. Even the history, for that matter, is available, right? You read R.C. Mazumdar.
See,
Not everybody reads.
I'll tell you one thing over here. History is very well documented. Huh? R.C. Majumdar,
Correct.
Yadunath Sarkar. Then there are many old historians. If you look at the colonial period, pre 1947, and these people were still, R.C. Majumdar was alive till 1980. He died in 1980. So around say 60s, 70s, if you read the books, everything is documented. After that,
Exactly.
once this group of people, RC Majumdar and his that group died out by the 80s, they took over. From that time, the actual distortion started.
Yeah,
If
so
you
I'm saying,
take up the Saraswati River myth, the Saraswati River was known as a real river till the 1980s. Then what happened?
hmm,
This leftist historians took over. It is a very late concoction that Saraswati River is a mythology. It is very late, till
hmm.
it started from the 1980s.
Yeah. So what I was saying, that these history books, I mean the events are available for somebody who wants to probe into it. It's not like that somebody is trying to rewrite history. It's just that, I mean, we often, people complain that you are trying to rewrite history. No, I
Nothing
don't
of
think we are
rewriting.
trying to
Everything is
rewrite
there.
history. We are
Everything is
just
there.
trying to bring it out into popular domain, because as a history scholar, a student of history knows all these stuff, but not everyone is a student of history, right? I mean, a
So I'll
common
tell you one
person
thing
is
over
not a
here. I'll
student.
tell you. Sorry for interrupting, but I'll tell you
No
one thing.
problem.
What happened post 1980s was that they made these books go out of print. So from 1980s, that's 90s especially, if you wanted to study history, you are forced to read Habib and Thapar. Okay, you are
Hmm.
not getting R.C. Mojumdar books because they're out of print. If you
Hmm.
see, the print and the reprint has started from 2020, 2021, that zone. When 2022, most of these books are being reprinted again. R.C. Majumdar book, I got two books. Those were reprinted in 2022. Before that, they were made to go out of print. So even if a student wanted to read R.C. Majumdar, books were not available.
So this studying of temple architecture also, I think, started as a historical study, right, for you.
Yes, as I was exploring the heritage and started working on it, right, creating awareness and all, I slowly realized my interest is on the temple architecture and the iconography. So I focused on that, and I read a lot of books on it, lots of articles on it. on temple architecture. So now my focus is on temple architecture and temple iconography, the sculptures that you see on the temple, that is iconography. You understand the meaning of the sculptures. Each sculpture they have made, each one has a different meaning. The way they're dressing, the way they're sitting, everything has a meaning. So these two are the main my interests, which I slowly realized. So I focused on them, and
So, something, tell us one or two extraordinary things that you discovered or that changed your belief. I mean, you believed something, and then through your exploration of these temples, you discovered something, one or two or three things that actually blew your mind, and you changed your belief into whatever you were taught in your education system.
in our see when you are reading the books, you realize how little of the Hindu things are taught. That is a different aspect. As you slowly start comparing books, the older books, the newer books, you get to realize that Hindu history is very little. It's mostly the Islamic history. I think India is the only country who has glorified invaders this way, and these invaders were not very kind people. They were extremely brutal. My last article on First Post was on slavery under the Hindu slaves under Islamic rule. It's very brutal. So I think India is the only country which has hidden the invaders' brutal past, and they have glorified them. So once you start reading the textbooks and the general history books, you realize Hindu history is practically not there, and they have done it very smartly, because the see from class 10, after class 10, the subject division happens. So many students are not there in history after in the 11 and 12. Till
Yes.
class 10, all are studying history. So what they have done is to focus on the Mughals and still class 10. So the children, when the people, children, when they are stopping to study history, moving on to different other streams, like commerce or science, they will not study about the Hindu history. They know only the Mughal
So,
history, the Islamic history. They have done it very smartly. The leftists are very smart people.
So
They have.
I have I have a very I am just remembering one anecdote when I was working for a fund as an investor. There was a person in my team. He was from Gujarat, and he was very excited about the what you say, Hinduism and all that. Whatever is now we are seeing the revival, he was very excited, very then. And during one of the conversations, somebody pointed to him that it was Marathas from whom Britishers took over and not the Mughals,
Hmm,
and he was shocked.
hmm,
So then we were like, okay, don't worry, let's Google the map of India
hmm,
in 1775, which was
hmm.
the Plassey, right?
Yes.
So we basically 1757, sorry. So we basically Googled the map of India in 18th century, early 18th century, and he was shocked. He said, "Boss, I did not even know this. How did you know it?" I said, "Boss, I have a interest in history, so I obviously knew it. But it is shocking that you did not know it, and you could Google it, right? It's so easily available, and yet
But
you
these
have
things
been
are gone
groomed
into
in
the
a
mind.
manner." Exactly,
They
your
are
mind is
brainwashed
groomed in a
totally.
manner that, and you don't even realize that even the Mughal who was sitting in Delhi was on the payroll of Scindias,
Yes.
right? They were taking salary from India, which is a fascinating thing when you get to know about this. And when you pointed out this point that we are probably the only country which glorifies its invader, my take is slightly different. Is that is we are probably the only country who survived these invaders despite so many years of invasion. Like, if you look at the Latin America, if you look at the Northern America, if you look at the Australia, none of them could survive those invaders. We are one unique country
The
that way
only
who,
culture which survived. The only
yeah,
culture.
who survived the invaders. So maybe we are the only case study which says
If you
that
look at
whether
all the
we should
ancient
glorify or not
civilizations,
glorify.
if you look at
Exactly.
all
I
the
mean, if you
ancient
look at,
cultures, all are gone.
we are the
Only
only
Hinduism
ones.
is there.
Yeah. And I mean, Norse, they became superheroes now, but there is nobody worshipping them. You have Thor and Odin, they are being
Nobody is there.
revived by Disney and
The
Marvel.
Aztec, the
Yeah. And
Nothing, nothing. Nobody's there.
And
Everybody's wiped out.
my belief is that if you look at any religion which has grown organically, you would always find nature worship, female worship, because it's basically very natural. You see things around you, and you basically try to come together, and you start banding together and become a group, and that was necessary for our survival, right? So any religion which had started organically would have these elements, and we are the only religion who is which is left with these elements. Most of the
Yes.
later religions which came in, they were very inorganic religions, right? They were created
They are,
somewhere.
if you ask me, I'll say Abrahamic religion is more of political bodies. They are political cults.
Exactly.
They are not religions.
Sometimes people tell. I mean, I have these debates. People say that religion is the root of all the problems around us, and I tell them that religion is the reason we survived.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
We are the only
if you
religion.
believe that, if you believe the Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest, humans are not the fittest to survive in the food chain, right? I mean, a lion can any
They are
day
not.
come and but as a group, when religion came into the picture, we became fittest to survive. The religion became bad when politics took over the religion. But till the time the it was not politicized. I mean, the later religions came because of politics, not the other
The
way.
Abrahamics are all political bodies. They are not religion. The,
Exactly.
the religion is just a mask to keep people attracted. That's it.
Exactly. So, anyways, now moving on to the core topic of this discussion, which is why maybe most of the people tuned in. That is to talk about temples, and what stories our temples tell, what we can learn from our temple, how they are constructed, what kind of thought process goes behind constructing a temple, and then obviously the most important part, how the Himanchal temples look similar to Bengal. I am very excited to know about this. What is this connection? So over to you. आप बताइए, if you want me to project any pictures, please do let me know. I can show them on the screen, and
Just
maybe we can talk about.
just show me a picture of a temple. Any temple will do right now.
Great. So let me just pull it up for our audience. So let's see this one. This is a good one.
Any
Or
temple will do.
maybe we can see this one.
This is a very special temple. One of my
Yes.
favorites in Himachal.
So let's talk about this, and then we
I'll
can
just
probably
first
switch
give a
to some.
brief thing on the meaning of a temple. That we go to a temple to pray is a place everybody knows. We go and pray, we worship our gods over there. But Hindu temples are more than that. It is not just a place for worship. Place of worship is all the other shrines that the other religions also go to. But Hinduism or the Indic religion, this temple is a place. It's like a tirtha sthal for us. It's a journey. We are making a spiritual journey to meet the what is in a Vedas the we see is the supreme Brahma, the supreme consciousness. So that is the place where we meet him. So the when we go to a temple, it is for a brief moment. The moment, as long as we stay inside the sanctum, that is the moksha period. That is the period when we are, for a very brief moment, we are meeting the supreme consciousness. Whatever you believe in Shiva, you believe in Vishnu, you believe in the Devi. The Murti is there. The Murti is the point, and you are entering, and the supreme consciousness, that energy is coming from top. So it is like a straight line you are entering, and that is coming from there. The image is in the Garbhagriha center. So for that brief moment you are inside, you are actually uniting with the divine consciousness. That is the basic theory of a Hindu temple. So Hindu temple, the entire concept is moksha. Hinduism, our religion, is entire concept is moksha. Hinduism believes in life and death, and all these things are, as we move from one life to the other, our entire focus, our philosophers, the saints, the rishis who had visualized our religion, who had written the Vedas, they had all said that the basic Hinduism is moksha. Your basic focus should be focusing on the uniting with the Supreme Brahma. whatever God you believe in. That is your main purpose in life. Everything is just passing. You're just passing through. So temple is that point where you are, for a very brief moment, you are getting that moksha. You are uniting with the God. So it's a very special place. It is not just you go there and worship, you ask for whatever you want. It is a very sacred place. So next time you enter a temple, keep this in mind. For that very moment, for the very
Oh,
few
I'm
minutes.
when
Yes.
I was younger, I used to ask this question, and I lived with a flatmate who used to go to temple every Tuesday, and I used to ask him, if God is everywhere, why do you go to temple? So,
Now you have the
and I was
answer.
young, right? So now you have given the answer, and I mean, in a very funny way, I used to say that. That you have Wi-Fi connection everywhere, but there are places where that connection is stronger, and
Oh,
maybe
I'll tell
that
you
is
one of my
the.
experiences. I'll tell you one thing why these places in our ancient scriptures are called, these are the energy points. Huh? Temples are known as energy points.
Hmm.
I'll tell you, if you go to a temple, I have experienced, I know these things cannot be described. You have to experience it yourself. In this Himachal temples, Naggat temple, it was raining, little bit drizzling, and I was there. You feel that energy, that you stand over there, you feel this is an energy point. I cannot explain it to you. You have to stand there and you have to feel it, and you at once this is very sacred place. This is where the all the this energy is coming and concentrating, and you are standing in front of there, and you are actually blessed to be standing over there and getting that energy, that positive energy, whatever that divine energy is. It's a very different sort of an experience I've had in the Himachal temples, because these temples are all untouched. Then these haven't
Hmm.
faced the invaders. Major point.
Yes.
So the energy, when they do the Garvagriha, when they build the foundation, a lot of rites they follow, rituals and rites, to bring in that positive energy in that Garvagriha. Below the sanctum, they have a lot of things. I'll tell what things are there later on. So this is the Garvagriha. If we find the Shikhara Niche, jo Garvagriha is there, that is a very sacred place. And
Yes.
when they make the foundation, they do a lot of rituals are carried on, so that the entire divine energy is focused on that point when the murti stands. So these temples that we have are the energy points, and these are very sacred places. So when you go to a temple, close all your mind and you just focus on your deity. You go over there, because it is the ancient
So
people, when they built it, they made it that way.
no, so that is why I have pulled up this picture, and because you have a lot of names on this, and I am sure most of the people I know, I personally don't know the meaning of all of them. Some of them I know, and most people would not know what which means what and why it is there, and what is the significance of each of these places in the temple. So if you could maybe take us through one by one, maybe I'll try
Yeah.
to zoom in if I can. If I can't, yeah, I think it's better now, right?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So see, if you look at the picture, you find when you're entering it, it is the you first, and this is a very later period temple, so it's very well developed. Huh? So lots of you find
Hmm.
the Ardha Mandapa is there, the Mukha Mandap. When you enter the temple, the first part you entering is the just the entrance part. If there's a small porch, it is called Mukha Mandapa. You're entering.
Hmm.
Then comes, if there
Hmm.
is these are the very extensive temples I'm talking about. Then comes the Ardha Mandapa, which is a little bigger hall. Then comes the Maha Mandapa, which is the main hall. And
Hmm.
from Maha Mandapa, you are entering, you're going to enter the sanctum now. Between Maha Mandapa, you find Maha Mandapa is here. Next will come the Garbhagriha, which are the
Hmm.
deities there. Between
Sanctum.
Mahamandapa, yes, between Mahamandapa and this Garbhagriha is the vestibule part, is the connection. The connecting part is also
Hmm.
separate. It's connecting part that is known as the vestibule. After you cross the vestibule, you come into the sanctum doorway, and the deity is there. So these are the main parts. You first entering the Mukha Mandapa, the Ardha Mandapa, the Maha Mandapa, which is the main hall, the biggest hall of all. Then is the Garbhagriha.
Hmm.
So these are basically
So
Mandapa. You remember the names is Mandapa and the Garbhagriha.
Hmm.
And between
And
Mandapa and yes,
I'm saying this says Nagra style, right?
this is Nagara style. I will be discussing
Nagar
the style.
style, sorry.
Nagara style is the North Indian style.
Hmm.
So
So,
not there.
maybe I should pull up the picture of the
The three
different
temples,
different
yeah.
styles of
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
temples, and that
The
will
North Indian,
probably,
South Indian, yeah.
yeah, that is something that our audience would probably appreciate a lot more. Let me find that picture that is there. So this is the
Yes,
one where we have the three distinct styles of temples.
yes.
So
Over here, I
yeah.
would like to say something that is these names, this Nagara, Dravida, and the Vesara. These are the three temples that we mainly study now. But these are very late names. This Nagara temple is first found in around mentioned around 11th century. It is that late. Before
Hmm.
that, our the ancient books all had beautiful names. The temple names were very beautiful, and but they were known according to the measurement, the shapes, like Gaja. One name was Gaja,
Hmm.
and I've written down the names. Very beautiful names they had. Just give me a moment. Yes, the old temple, these things they had this Nagara style and all are very later 11th century and all. But the older temples had very beautiful names. They were known as Meru, Mandara, Kailasha, Nandana, Vimana Chanda, Kunjara. Beautiful names they had. Huh? These three names are very late names. They had very beautiful names and they were based on precise measurements. Temple measurement is very important. So that is why when a temple architect, the Stapati is making a temple, the Stapati has to have knowledge of mathematics, the Shastras, the Puranas. Cosmology is very important because it's all about directional science and placing of where to place the windows and doors. So he has to have a lot of knowledge on all these things. He cannot just be an architect and draw the building and all. He has to have a knowledge. Our temples is very complex structure, so he needs to know about astrology, cosmology, then the basic sciences. Those that architectural science he has to know. So he has to have a knowledge of all these things, and that is how our temples were built. Directional science is there. Vastu Shastra is directional science, where which direction? Most of the temples are east facing. Why? Because the sun rises in the east, and the sun is the main source, natural source of light and heat. So sun is seen as the primary source of heat and light. So the temple should be facing east. There are few temples which can face south, like Dakshinamurti can face south, Mahakali can face south. But in general, temples must face east because of the sunrise. The first rays of the sun must fall on the temple, enter through the main door, fall on the deity. This is how it was built. So he needs to have a knowledge of all these things. And so when they were built, they had this different names. 20 are basic ancient temples are 20 types based on the measurements, precise measurements. There were 10, 20 types of temples. Later they were increased to 45 types, and now we are down to three types only, which is Nagara, Dravida, and Vesara. These are around 11th, 12th century they started building up, and Nagara type has another subtype, which is the Kalinga, the Orisha temple, and it's a regional type which is slightly different. It developed again around the same time, 11th 12th century. So these are later types, and if you look at the Nagara thing, which is entirely spread across the North India, East India, and these have the basic square sanctum. The square is a very important part in our Vastu Shastra. Our temple sanctum is square, most of them. It has to be a square, or at the most can be a rectangle. There are very few circular temples, and it is not really prescribed. The sanctum has to be square, and on top of that is the shikhara. If you look at the Nagara shikhara, you will find it's a curvilinear. It goes up straight and
Hmm.
slowly curves like this. That is the Nagara shikhara, and it ends with the amlaka. This Nagara Shikara style originated simultaneously from central India and eastern India. The part which is West Bengal and Bangladesh, from that part, and central India, Madhya Pradesh part. This is where it simultaneously originated, Nagara
Hmm.
style. And next is the South Indian style, Dravida style. This style originated around, say, started developing around 7th century by the Chalukyas, and then taken up by the Hoysalas. Sorry, the South Indian temple, the Chola architecture, you will find if you look at the Brihadeshwara temple, it's conical in shape. See, look at the structure. It's a square
I'll just
structure.
show. I'll just show the picture of
Brihadeshwara.
Brihadeshwara temple to our audience, which is there with us. Yes.
See,
No.
this is typical
It's
South
getting
Indian
blurred,
style.
I think, but it's okay.
You can see the style. It is typical conical
Yeah.
shape, and the North Indian temple were curved. It went up curving. It is very
Hmm.
different. This is going up straight, sharp lines going up like a pyramid. So pyramidal in
Hmm.
shape. And when you look at a South Indian temple, you must remember this temple is known. The temple, like the North Indian temples, the tower is known as Shikhara. South Indian temples, the tower is known as Vimana. It is not known
Viman,
as
yes.
Gopuram. I'm mentioning this because people come and ask me, ma'am, Gopuram is pyramidal in shape. And I say, Gopuram is not pyramidal. Gopuram is the gateway. South Indian temples have this massive gateways when you're entering the temple, and they have the beautiful structures on top of the gateway. That is Gopuram.
Hmm.
That is not, Gopuram is not the one you're seeing here. So please,
So
I'm
this is
telling
the
you,
Shikhar, Viman.
this is Vimana. Now, why is it called Vimana? Because our temples, those original 20 temples that I was talking about, the names were Meru, the Mandara, Kailasha, beautiful. Kailasha temple we still have. These are all old
I
names.
think these were basically named after the mountains of our ancient
Beautiful
mountains, right?
shapes. Kailasha means like mountain.
Yeah.
Nandana, Vimana Chanda, Kunjara means like an elephant shaped temple.
Yes.
So they had these beautiful names. Now so it's different. But this
Yeah.
Shikhara
So
is known
coming
as
back to that image
Vimana.
of the three temples, let me
Yeah, South Indian,
go
this
back to that.
Dravida temple, Shikhara is known as Vimana because originally temples were conceptualized as the five chariots that Brahma had built for the gods. So that
Okay.
is why you have, and if you go to the South Indian Chola temple, Airavateshwara, it's like a chariot. They have those big
Hmm.
wheels and
Hmm.
horses.
Hmm.
That is because it is not a sun temple that it should have chariot. It's a Shiva temple, but still it is in the, they have those chariot wheels and horses because the temples, original Cholas knew this. The original temples were built thinking of them as the chariots for the gods. If you
Hmm.
look at our scriptures, you'll find Brahma had built five chariots, five divine chariots. So our temples were conceptualized as the chariots for the gods. They were their homes, their chariots. So they were shaped, they are thought in that way. And that is why the South Indian temples still retain the name as Vimana. The Shikhara is still known as Vimana.
Hmm.
It's a past connection when temples were designed thinking of Vimanas as chariots. Vimana is a chariot.
Hmm.
So, and when you come
And
to the
what is
third
this third style?
style, is a combination of Nagara and Dravida. The plan is
Hmm.
Dravida, while the designing, the outer designing and various other parts is the Nagara style. But it is the basic plan is Dravida, South Indian style. It is found in the central Indian part, central Deccan region. And this was
So,
developed but the Chalukyas and the Hoysalas, they developed this. See, the it's a very different from both of them. It's combined together, and they have formed this design.
so this means that we can also, by looking at a temple, tell a little bit about the history of the temples, right?
If you
Because
see,
each.
if you yes, you can. If you look at a temple, see in Brihadeshwara temple, there are the workmanship is there are many dynasties. Huh? The Cholas have built the main Brihadeshwara temple. But if you know the distinction between the two families, the two dynasties, you will know that there is another temple. They were given. It is for the Kumara, this Skanda, Kartikya. It is built by the Nayakyas. Huh? They have tried to keep it as similar as possible to the Cholas. But if you know the sculptural style, the architectural style, you will know this is by a different dynasty. So you can, if you know these pillar style is different. Moment you see a pillar, you know this is a Pallava dynasty pillar. This is a Chola dynasty pillar. This is a Nayaka dynasty pillar. So all the dynasties have different this art form, and you, if you really study them very in details, you will know which dynasty built which temple.
So this is a very interesting image that I have come across a few times on social media also, and this basically is saying that a temple is designed in image of a human body, right?
Yes, yes. See, his feet
So,
is the
if
gopura.
you could throw some light on this and maybe explain it to our viewers, what
This is not
exactly
a
to
human. Huh?
understand.
This is not a human. A temple architecture. There's a very important term in it. Vastu Purusha Mandala. This is the
Hmm.
Purusha. This is the Purusha is the basic. What to say? Purusha is the essence. The very. It is not. Doesn't exist. It has no. It, what to say? It is just a consciousness, a principle of Purusha is the essence, and this is the essence. This is basically just say this is the supreme consciousness, the Brahma. The Brahma,
Hmm.
not the Lord Brahma. This is the Brahma, the Vedic Brahma. No?
Brahman, yes, yes.
Yes. So that is the Purusha, and so the temple is. So the temple is the where he resides. The Garbhagriha is the part where he resides. You see, the head is there. If you look at the picture
Hmm.
properly, you find the head is there. This is a
Hmm.
Brahma which is lying down. This is not human being. Temple has nothing to do with humans. Humans just go to
Hmm.
visit it. This is all about the supreme consciousness. Temple is all about the supreme divinity. So this is his
Hmm.
body, which is visualized as various parts of the temple. This is
Hmm.
Purusha who is lying there, and the temple part is various body parts which are there, and his the main essence is in the Garbhagriha. So if you see, this is the Purusha, Vastu
So
Purusha basically.
yeah, so you are talking about Gopuram and
See,
Viman
his
and
feet
the
is there.
difference.
Yes.
This picture actually
It gives
shows
it's
it
very
very
well.
clearly.
It's very clearly
Yeah.
explaining which part is
Yeah,
where.
and there is a Dhwaja Stambham also. So this
Dwajastambha is
basically
there.
whole maybe the Viman imagery that we were talking about that is
Vimana is a
also
Shikhara,
clear
yes,
here.
over here.
Yes, so Vimana is here, but I'm saying this Dhwaja, the imagery of a chariot is probably this Dhwaja Stambham is the
Dwajastambha is
leftover of.
where they have the flags, the temple flag,
No, so
Dwajastambha.
I'm saying typically in a chariot also you have this flag.
Yes, yes,
So it
yes.
probably
Our
symbolizes
temples are
from
chariots.
there.
Our temples are
Exactly.
chariots, chariots of the
So
gods.
this is the Gopuram, the place that where you enter from,
Entering, that is the Gopuram.
and then you move towards the Dwaja Stambham, Bali Peetham,
Yes,
then Mahamandapam. So yeah, Mahamandapam is this
yes,
large area that
yes.
is
That is the
probably
mandapa,
where
the
you would.
hall. Yes,
Yeah, the hall where you probably sit around and
yes,
pray to the
yes.
god,
Uh,
and
then
then
there's this
there is
little
this
connection, that is the vestibule, this little, after the mandapa
correct,
and the Garbhagriha, there's a little space. That is the vestibule part,
correct.
and then is the Garbhagriha.
Then this Viman, which is the basically the roof of the
Yes, yes.
Garbhagriha, right?
That is where it is said. You see those lines. That is where the divine energy is coming in. You are walking in from
Hmm.
there, and you are meeting at the Shiva is shown. Shiva Linga. Shiva Linga is there. So that is where you
Yes,
meet.
and
That is the
yeah, and
point of
outside
meeting.
there is this Nandi where you have
Yes. Nandi
Adhikar
is facing
Nandi
Shiva. That is a
Valipi.
Nandi Picha.
Yes,
Yes.
very interesting. I am learning so much from this. And I
Oh, it's
hope
very
the
interesting.
people watching. Yeah, I mean, this is very fascinating. I never thought of our. So this is again, I think
The same
the
thing, same picture.
similar. Yeah, it's the same thing with a different
Different angle.
image,
Basically, the
that
angle is different.
different angle that is being shown here. There is the topic of this your book, which is Himachal temples and the Bengal connection. So maybe we should touch upon that bit now.
Yes.
So this
This
is,
is.
let me pull out the image first. Just give me a moment. So where was this image that I wanted to pull up? So this is a Himanchal temple, right?
This is the Himachal temple.
And let me find the.
This is
This
also a
is a
Himachal
temple
temple.
from Ben. This is also
This is the
Himachal.
Bengal. This is
This is the
the earlier
Bengal.
temple.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the Bengal temple, and this is a Himachal temple,
No, don't
right?
show me another picture of Himachal, not this one. This is a different style.
Okay. So let me. This
This is a Himachal temple.
this is the Himachal temple, but this image is
Yes.
very tiny. And let me see if I can pull both of them together. Yeah,
Yes.
I think they look very similar, right?
They are similar.
So the one
They
on
are
the
absolutely similar.
yeah. So now the this is what your book is about, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
temples in Himachal, the one where you see mountains is the temple in Himachal, and the other one is a temple in
Bengal
Bengal.
temple.
And as you can see, both are similar. So
Very similar.
uh, now, ma'am, my question to you: Why they are
Yes.
similar? What connects them together?
This is the connection is the two Bengal. There are other Bengal dynasties also who went. I'm discovering run now, but when I was writing the book, I came across the Pala dynasty and the Sena dynasty had gone to Himachal. Pala dynasty was on perpetual tripartite wars with the Rashtrakutas and the Rajputs in Rajasthan. They were always constantly at war with them. So during this movement war, one of the Skyans, Bihanga Manipal, his name was Bihanga Manipal, he moved because he was obviously not the king. He was a part of the royal dynasty, but he was not the king. So he wanted to rule also. So he was seeking new places where he can go and conquer and rule. So he, with his people, with his own group of people, started moving during this tripartite war that was around it's, second half of the 8th century. He started moving, and this is recorded in a temple in Rajasthan that the Palas had come here. So they started moving, and then he settled for some years in Haridwar, Mayapuri. Haridwar was known as Mayapuri then. He settled there, and then again he moved north to the mountains. And he ultimately reached this area and conquered the area, took it from those local Khasas and who were ruling at that time. The Gupta dynasty was over. Gupta used to rule the Himachal also, but Gupta dynasty was finished by then. The local, the whatever clans they fought over, the Khasas and all, they were there. They took over, and after it is said that after he went and prayed to the Hirimba Devi over there, the Hirimba temple, she gave her blessings, and
Yes.
he became the king of the Kulu Valley. So he was the
Hmm.
first king, and Vihangamani Pal, and this dynasty continued till 1450. It's not a matter of a few years, few centuries. They continued from say end of 8th century till 1450. Lot of years they ruled this entire
15th,
area.
yeah.
Yes, and there all the stone temples you find in Naggar area, the Kulu area are even if you go to these places like this. Bijli Mahadev and all those places. Bijli Mahadev is now a later period temple, wooden temple, typical those wooden style. They have this conical pyramidal thing. But there are lots of broken parts of the older Pala temples. You will find that they are still kept over there. So you know that they were stone Pala Terra temples, and this dynasty ruled for a long time. Everything is documented. All the kings' names I have given in my book. If somebody reads my book, they'll find all the kings' names with dates and everything are there. And till 1450 they were ruling, and after that another the Singh dynasty came in, and the Pala dynasty ended in 1450. Pala dynasty was ruling from first from Jagatsuk. There's a beautiful temple in Jagatsuk, small temple, Shiva temple. One must see it if one goes to Jagatsuk, Kulu Manali area. Just take some time off and visit this Jagatsuk temple. Shiva temple, it is beside a Gayatri Mata temple they have, it is beside that. And it's a beautiful Palara temple, stone temple, late 8th century. One must see it. And that is where they were, that was the capital. They were ruling from there. Then later they shifted it to Nagar. I think the 18th king shifted it, all given in my book, shifted it to Nagar. From then they ruled till 1450, after which the Singh dynasty came in and took over. Now, the Sena dynasty moved later. They went around 14th, 15th century. They moved. That is after they lost their kingdom. The Islamic invasions in Bengal started. The Sena dynasty lost a part of the kingdom, And so at that time, one of another scion of this, not the main king, but one of his some cousin or like that, they moved out. Then after spending some time in the Punjab area, one of the brothers died over there, also got killed during a war. They were constantly at war. As they were moving around, they were meeting these local rulers. Obviously, they were at war. After that, one of them went and settled in the Mandi area. So this Mandi area is again the Sena dynasty, which Sena dynasty is still there. In the Mandi, the king, Mandi king is still there, and they're the Sena dynasty. Now the last king, because he has no heir, and he has made Lord Krishna as the ruler of Mandi, because there is no more heir. It's ended. There are no more sons. So, but the Sena dynasty is still there, and this is they have their own family tree, and it's all documented over there. Now, even without if this were not documented, if you look at the temple architecture, you will find they're very similar. Automatically, you will think there is some connection because the temple, as you can see, the temple architecture is almost
Yes.
similar. They are typical. It's a very typical Bengal architecture. Is they will have the square sanctum, and they'll have this curvilinear shikhara. In both cases, you see that, and they don't have the mandapa in front. If you notice that, there is no mandapa in front.
Hmm.
There is no hall in front.
Correct.
So you're just
Correct.
entering. There's a little bit of a entrance doorway, and this little bit of a porch through which you enter. Both cases, see, there is no mandapa. You enter, you directly enter the sanctum after that. So this is a typical structure which was in Bengal, and this is no, this is now known as Rekha Deol structure. Originally, what it was known, we don't know, but now it is known as Rekha Deol structure. And this Shikhara part, this is the Rekha Deol temple. It is now known as this typical shape. So this is spread across the Kulu and Mandi valleys, and this is also there. This was there in ancient Bengal. Ancient Bengal has seen so much of destruction. Most of the temples are not there. The and post independence also, this they had this beautiful pala temples which were put under, they had no consideration for heritage. Nehru government, they built a dam, temples went underneath, priceless temples, so many temples went underneath the dam. So
And
we lost a lot over there. Bengal has lost. You have no idea how much. I did two blog articles on Bengal temples. No, it is. You will really feel really bad, terrible that to learn about Bengal temples. There are temples. We are studying those. There are few temples left. In my blog, I've given detailed what say temples from the Pala era. The earlier temples are still there. But to primarily, when you're studying as a research, then you have to look at the Southeast Asian temples, because Bengal temples not only were this Pala Senas carried it to the Himalayan states, they also carried to Southeast Asia. So you are studying Burma temples, you're studying Indonesian temples, and you are then realizing ancient Bengal temples look like this. Even Orisha temples, if you, Orisha has two parts, Kalingan architecture and the post-Gupta Gupta architecture. If you look at the post-Gupta and Gupta architecture, you will find that, yes, pull up this one, this brick one, third one.
this is, I think, Gupta era, right?
No, no, no. This is also Pala era.
Okay.
See, this is also Pala
Okay.
era. This
This
is
is
brick.
again similar to that you
Himachal
directly
temples.
enter the sanctum. Yes.
Yes, this is again the same design which was carried over to, and this was Bengal. I want you to keep these two: the Kedarnath temple and this one, Siddheshwara temple. See
Okay.
how similar they are. Because
Yes.
I'll tell you what happened. Palas also went to Uttarakhand.
Okay. So,
When they were, they also went to Uttarakhand. They were ruling for some period over the Uttarakhand area. This is the Kedarnath temple is also a Pala temple. Now you see the similarities.
yes.
Uttarakhand
So
temple and
the
Siddheshwara temple.
I think the structure of the Garbhagriha and the Shikhar is very similar,
It's the
and
same.
now they have added this mandapam part
Mandapa
into that
was there.
same.
See, Mandapa was here. The Mandapa roof
No,
is
I'm
broken
saying
in the
the
text.
earlier style that we were seeing that did
Hmm.
not have a mandapa
No,
part,
that
and this
style got
one,
carried over to Himachal Pradesh. Okay, this style
hmm,
got carried over to
to
Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand.
Same Pala
So
dynasty.
yes, so they are very very similar. Yes,
They're very similar.
I was
Now I'll
actually
tell you
looking
one thing.
for. Yeah,
Now
please
the
tell me.
interesting part is this structure that you see, this temple architecture was again carried over to Himachal Pradesh, by the Senas.
Hmm.
So this Shikhara and the Garvagriya Shikhara and the long mandapa in front is also there in the Mandi Valley. The Senas built, they took up the structure. The earlier with no mandapa was carried over by the Palas. The Palas carried over them to Himachal Pradesh. Palas also carried over this architecture. This is also Bengal architecture. They also carried it. This went to Uttarakhand. Now, this architecture was also carried over to Himachal Pradesh by the Senas. They came later. So both type
This
of
is
Bengal
so
architecture is there.
yeah, this is so fascinating. I mean,
This is
I
absolutely
wish
fascinating.
we can.
And this was
I
started
was
because the
saying, sorry, I'm
no,
just
no, it's okay.
interrupting, but
Yeah.
I was saying that we were talking about how we can know about our history just by studying our temples, and this is a clear demonstration of that we are seeing right now. But what you
Yes.
are explaining, it actually explains the history of a couple of dynasties and how they moved from one place to
Yes.
another and how they settled and in what time period they settled there. So even if there were no books written about them, you can probably study and get a fair
The temple
idea about
architecture.
their history just by looking at the temple architecture.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry,
So
you carry
this
on.
is
You were saying something. I interrupted.
um, and the Senas then carried this. If you there, I think I've given you a picture also of the Mandi
Let
temple. Can you
let
just pull it up?
let
You will
me
see it's very
let
similar
me
to
just
this.
scroll.
You will find it's very
Just
similar.
let me. Mm, which one is this?
This is the one. See, again there's
Yeah,
a long. This is Mandi temple. See, there's a long mandapa like the Kedarnath temple. Can you see it?
I'll put them back.
See, can you see the similarity?
Yes, they are quite similar.
They're quite similar. This is the Pala dynasty temple. This is the Sena dynasty temple, both from Bengal, and more or less the same with conical roof of the mandapa. This was built by the Sena dynasty in around 15th 16th century. It was built by Raja Ajbar Sen's wife. She built this temple, and see, it's a typical Bengal style temple they have built, and this is what got carried over. So you, even if there is no documentation, you can read, study the temple architecture, and you know this came from Eastern India.
yes, and we have not yet got into the images or the inscriptions that are there on those temples.
Everything,
That would
inscriptions are all
probably
there.
be
It's
I'm saying that would
Pala.
probably be a subject of discussion for another session that we might have. Because
Yes.
just studying these temples from outside, we have not yet
We are
entered
just
inside the
skimming
temple.
through. This is just skimming through.
Exactly.
Huh? This is
So
not
we are
going
just
into.
looking at it from a bird's eye view or whatever you drone view. We have not yet gone inside. Maybe we need another session to go
That will
inside
not
and
happen in this
study.
session. It's a very
Exactly, we
in-depth
are
session.
already at 52 plus minutes mark.
Uh-huh.
One message to our audience, if they are interested and they find this conversation interesting, this is available in great detail in the book, Himanchala Temples and the Bengal Connection. You can buy the book. I will put up the links in the description of this video. And if you're watching this video, you find it interesting and fascinating, because I am finding it really fascinating. I have learned a lot in this session, and I would wish and hope that you guys also know more about this and find out more about this. So I'll put up the link in the description, and you can buy the book, read it, and understand more about what these temples say and what these stories are. And as before we had set up this session, our audience would the connection our audience had with Temple Tales hashtag was that the stories about those temples, like the Puranic stories, the historical stories. So we keep on doing this weekly videos about one temple or the other, where we talk about the like Shiv Puran talks about the Bara Jyotirlinga and other Shiva temples in Kashi and elsewhere. So we do those stories. This is also temple tales, but this is more about the tales the temples itself tell, and that is very fascinating. That is very interesting that we have gotten.
The temples will tell you which dynasty came, at what time they came, how they moved. Everything they'll tell you. The architecture.
Yeah. I would probably try to conclude this session, because
Yes,
I
we'll
have
take it
understood
up
that
in another session.
if we can keep talking about it, we will probably
It's
spend
unending.
few
I
more
can go
hours
on
without.
talking the whole day about temples.
Exactly. So, so maybe we should conclude this at this
Yes, yes.
moment. But
Uh-huh.
as you guys can see the ticker, you can buy this book, and this is a very fascinating book, and this is a very fascinating subject matter. And I hope, ma'am, you write more books on these subjects and maybe explore the temples of other regions.
Yes, yes,
Because
I
one
will.
thing I have been often told, and being a North Indian, I feel for it, that people say that North Indians are not very close to their religion or their rituals, and South Indians are much more closer to their rituals. And I blame the destruction of these temples for this, because you mentioned that
North
Nehru
India
and
was flattened. Like Bengal, North
yeah,
India was also flattened.
yeah. So we our temples were destroyed, and when the rebuilding
Totally.
started, we were more focused on building dams and other, I mean, roads. That also
This
we
is
probably
another
didn't do
topic.
a
Maybe
great
I'll
job.
take up sometime later. This medieval era, when the after the destruction happened, which temples were built. This is another fascinating topic.
So
We
I
can
have
take it.
recently got hold of this book by Meenakshi ji, and
Yes,
I
yes,
plan
yes.
to read it very
Ha, ha,
soon.
ha,
I
ha.
got it this weekend only,
Mm-hmm.
and this is
Oh, it's fine. Yes, yes. It's
the
a
flight of deities and
Linus.
rebirth of temples.
Yes.
And I hope to learn a lot from this,
Uh,
also about our temples and the rebuilding process, and maybe what Ahilyabai Holkar did. And I thank her for at least
hmm.
preserving some of those
Some
temples that
temples.
we get to see. And maybe we should study the history of these temples also. It's a subject matter for another conversation.
Medieval period in Bengal is very interesting. Maybe one day I'll take up that subject. That is very interesting how they rebuilt temples, defying the
So
Islamic rule. They kept on
no,
building temples.
we should, because these are the subject matters that are very important, and we believe that we should know our history so that we don't repeat it, and we should
Absolutely.
learn from our history. And we have not been doing a very good job at it, so somebody has to do it, and hopefully the digital medium, the video,
Social
audio,
media, yes,
that will
yes.
help us preserve it for the next generation and take it to the next generation. So, great conversation with you, ma'am, and I thank you for giving your time. And I hope to do more such sessions with you, and learn more from you about our history and our temples, and maybe more subject matters that you are pursuing. And thank you so much. Uh,
Thank you.
one uh, one housekeeping announcement for our audience: the next session is again going to be another fascinating session. In this session, we will talk about Yudhishthir, and we will talk to Simanti Chakravarti, who is writing a trilogy on Yudhishthir. And this is something which is very fascinating, because we have heard Mahabharat being told from and retold from Draupadi's perspective, from Karn's perspective, and so on and so forth, with so many distortions, which angers me also at some point whenever I read these versions. But this is one book I'm very excited about. And somebody I was talking to, and they said, we are glorifying Yudhishthir, and I said his character is worth glorifying, and maybe we should pick the right heroes rather than glorifying the wrong heroes and calling them anti-heroes or whatnot.
Yes, yes.
So so big let's connect again, Saturday 11th March 7 p.m. The time remains the same. So every Saturday Sunday we do these sessions of Kaisuni. We bring guests like Monidipa Dey today on these sessions, and we explore the topic from our ancient history. The like we explore temples today. Next Saturday we will explore the character of Yudhishthir. So come back, and thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.